Okay, let's be real. We live in a world that is just buzzing with notifications, endless feeds, and a million things fighting for our attention. It feels like our ability to just sit down and learn is under constant attack. Well, today, we're going to fight back. We're going to dive in and figure out how to reclaim our focus and actually learn smarter, not just harder.
Does this sound familiar to you? You're putting in the hours, right? You're highlighting, rereading your notes, you're staring at the textbook. You feel like you're being productive, but then the exam comes and poof, it's like your brain goes blank. That feeling, that huge gap between the effort you're putting in and the results you're getting, it's incredibly frustrating. And trust me, you are not alone.
But here's the thing. What if I told you the problem isn't you? It's not about being lazy, it's not about your work ethic. Your brain is actually being sabotaged. There are these hidden forces quietly working against you, undermining your focus. And right now, we are going to drag them out into the light.
All right, first things first, let's pull back the curtain and meet the three main culprits that are hijacking your study sessions. Because, the first step to winning any battle is knowing your enemy.
So, meet saboteur number 1, the illusion of knowing. Oh, this one is sneaky. See, when you just reread your notes over and over, the words start to look familiar. Your brain gets this cozy, comfortable feeling of recognition, and it mistakes that for actual understanding. You think you know it, but when you have to explain it from scratch, nothing.
And the data here really shows you the cost of that illusion. Just look at this. Students who used active recall, that's actively pulling information out of their brains, remembered 57% of the material. And the ones who just passively reread, a measly 29%. That is nearly double the retention. The way you study isn't just a small detail, it's a total game changer.
Okay, next up we have the attention drain. The official sciencey name for this is directed attention fatigue. The easiest way to think about it is like a muscle, or maybe a fuel tank for your focus. Every single time you ignore a text message, resist the urge to check a different website, or just force yourself to concentrate, you're using up that fuel. And eventually, that tank is going to run empty.
So, how can you tell when you're running on fumes? Well, look for these signs. If you suddenly find yourself jumping at every little distraction, getting super impatient, or making silly mistakes, that isn't some kind of character flaw. That's your brain sending up a flail telling you its focus system is totally overworked and it needs a real, genuine break.
And our final enemy is the motivation thief. Look, our brains are wired to seek out rewards, and they do that by releasing a chemical called dopamine. But the constant, super high dose of rewards we get from social media, video games, and junk food, it basically spoils our brain's reward system. So when it's time to do something like study, which is a slower burn, it just feels boring. And poof, your motivation is gone.
Okay, we've met the enemies, now it is time to fight back. And believe it or not, our first line of defense isn't some mental trick, it's the actual physical space around you. It's time to build a fortress for your focus.
We totally underestimate how much our physical environment affects our mental state. Just get a load of this number. A staggering 86.2% of people report physical pain, like back and neck pain, from sitting in spaces that just aren't set up right. I mean, how can you possibly focus on complex ideas when your body is basically screaming at you? You can't. So, here is your actionable checklist for building that fortress. A good chair and desk aren't luxuries, they are essential tools for learning. Same goes for good lighting and fresh air. Minimizing noise, even picking calming colors for your room, all of it reduces the background work your brain has to do, which frees up precious energy for actual learning. You got to get the foundation right. Now that our fortress is built, it's time to go on the offensive. And our number one weapon against that sneaky illusion of knowing is a technique that literally turns your brain into an active, powerful learning machine.
I absolutely love this analogy because it is so spot on. Passive reading? That's like watching someone else lift weights at the gym. Sure, you see it happening, but you're not getting any stronger. Active recall is you grabbing the barbell. The struggle, the effort of trying to remember that information, that's what's actually building stronger connections in your brain.
So, how do you actually do this? Try something called the blurting method. It's so simple, but it is incredibly effective. After you study a chunk of material, you put everything away. No peeking. Then you just blurt it all out onto a blank piece of paper. This is where the magic happens, because you instantly see the difference between what you thought you knew and what you actually know. That gap, that's exactly what you need to study next.
Okay, so we've built our fortress, we've activated our superpower. But you know what? Even superheroes need to recharge. So let's talk about the final, critical piece of the puzzle.
learning to treat rest not as laziness, but as a strategic weapon for peak performance.
You have to understand that not all breaks are created equal. What we're calling a passive break, like just scrolling on your phone, doesn't actually rest your brain. It just keeps it in that same state of high dopamine, low focus stimulation. A truly productive break involves a real change of scenery, a different activity. It lets your mind actually hit the reset button.
So what's the gold standard of a productive brain resetting break? It is so beautifully simple, a walk in nature. Honestly, it's one of the most powerful things you can possibly do for your brain.
And here's why it works so well. A walk in nature directly fights all three of our saboteurs. It literally refills your directed attention fuel tank, which beats the attention drain. It gives you gentle restorative stimulation, which helps reset your dopamine system to fight the motivation thief. And it gives your brain the quiet time it needs to sort through information, which helps you actually learn.
And finally, let's talk about the ultimate strategic rest, sleep. Please do not think of this as downtime. It is an active, absolutely critical process for learning. While you're sleeping, your brain is working overtime. It's filing away memories, processing emotions, and literally washing away toxic junk that builds up during the day.
So, let's just bring this all together in one simple cheat sheet. For every problem, there's a powerful solution. To fight the illusion of knowing, you use active recall. To beat the attention drain, you take strategic breaks, preferably in nature. And to get your motivation back from the motivation thief, you practice a kind of dopamine detox with mindful activities. Problem meet solution.
Look, this isn't about completely overhauling your life overnight. It's about making small, smart changes that work with your brain's biology, not against it. So I'll leave you with this one question. What's the one small thing you can try today? Are you going to try the blurting method? Take a real 5-minute walk outside? Just put your phone in another room for an hour? The power to learn smarter is right there for the taking.